you for tuning into the GSMC Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today. We will be covering Chelsea, talk about expectations for Chelsea heading into the season. We'll talk about Real Madrid and whether or not they're the clear favorites to win back-to-back Champions Leagues. We'll talk about the updated FIFA rankings, talk about Ballon d'Or, and then make sure you stick around for the end of the show where I'll be giving you my reaction to some of the top headlines in the soccer world. Before we start off, I'd like to ask that you like and follow the show, please. Also, we get a number of questions that come in during the show. So to ensure that your questions get read on the air, I ask that you use the Tips and Donations League on GSMC Soccer Podcast.net with your questions. Just put your questions at the top of the list so that I can see it. And it also really helps grow the show. So again, the link is GSMC Soccer Podcast.net. We gotta start off with some realistic expectations for Chelsea heading into this season. Obviously, Chelsea had a very interesting time last season. They went through their ups and downs, big ups. Some decent ups and some big downs, and they started off poorly, in my opinion. I thought it was a poor campaign starting off, but they found their way and got back up to the top six, which I was very impressed with. I was impressed with getting in that sixth place. Obviously, we couldn't get the Europa League football because Manchester United ended up defeating the likes of, I believe it was Manchester City. They defeated the likes of... No, Manchester United defeated the likes of Manchester City in the AFL Cup final. So the Europa League spot, the extra Europa League spot, ended up going to them instead of that sixth place team. But we finished above them in the Premier League. And yeah, it seemed like we had a good, positive thing rolling, the momentum kind of going the right way, and we were going to build. And then Mauricio Pochettino, he announces he will be leaving at Chelsea because of what's going on between him and the board. I guess they weren't really seeing eye to eye exactly, and it put Chelsea in a position where they needed to go get a new manager. And now Chelsea find themselves in a kind of a recycle of expectations, and how they want to go about things, in terms of now they have Enzo Maresca coming in, and it's just going to be a whole new change-up in the way the team is operating, new tactics, new everything, and it's kind of a restart, a recycle. And Chelsea have done plenty of recycles since this new ownership came in. And yeah, we're in for another one, which is frustrating, obviously, as a Chelsea fan. The moment you see the first set of positive momentum from the organization, for it to go completely turn around, because of this managerial situation. It's very frustrating. But Chelsea, on the other hand, they have a good opportunity in this season with the quality, with the players that they have. And look, I've noticed at these European Championship and Copa America to the extent the players Chelsea have, they have some very good players that are just, you know, that are just not playing to their level. Prime example, Marc Cucurella. He's been a laughingstock for most of his time at Chelsea. He was one of the best left backs in the tournament at the European Championship. In fact, I think he was in the team of the tournament. Enzo Fernandez. He later on in the stages, he was pretty good for Argentina. Cole Palmer, he was able to do his thing for England. There's quality amongst the squad. We have the talisman in Cole Palmer, but it's whether or not we can get everything together and, the improvement from this past season to the season before was goal scored. We doubled the amount of goals scored that previous season. We more than doubled it. So we have more goals into this team, but we still don't have that number 9. We still don't have that striker, game in, game out, that box striker that we haven't had in a very, very long time. And we still have not addressed it in this very slow-moving transfer window. Honestly, this transfer window has been really slow and really ineffective to say the least for plenty of teams, not just Chelsea. And Chelsea do find themselves in a position where they have to sell, to buy, and all that, all that nonsense. And it's hard for me to say what a realistic expectation for Chelsea. I think Chelsea come into this season sort of similar expectations coming into last season, going into last season, in the fact that this is a new team, or not a new team, but this is a new coach, implementing a system with these new players. Now, a lot of these young players have a year under the belt, an extra year of playing in the Premier League, and really there's, it's getting to the point with some of these new signings that there is no expectation of the performance levels don't vastly improve. I'm talking from the likes of Enzo Fernandez. I'm talking about from Cucurella. But Cucurella, he found himself his form, not just in the European Championship, but throughout the end of last season. Enzo Fernandez, he's kind of come in fresh, healthy, because, he ended off last season with the injury. He's going to come in healthy. There's no excuses for him. Caicedo, he needs to get back to playing at that level. By the way, he was one of those other players that had a pretty good Copa America, playing for his country. Caicedo coming in. Caicedo, Enzo, they have to, they're going to be the key. They're going to be the key because of them to play to the levels that they performed, like the players that Chelsea thought that they were getting, and they're the dominant selves, that midfield will be very, very deadly. And that'll be the key to operating the system in terms of being able to, control the midfield in the games, because in certain aspects that Chelsea struggle in is being able to control the games at certain moments. In certain moments, Enzo just doesn't look the same that he did. Like, he had a brilliant game in that opening game against Liverpool, and he just didn't look the same since then. He didn't look like the player that we saw at the 2022 World Cup. And maybe playing for Argentina, it's a safe space, but Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo is key. Absolutely key. Now, Latvia, him coming in as well, how does he fit into the fold? How does the Chelsea make that work? That's going to be very, very interesting. I will say as far as another player that I was saying also, Mudryk. A lot of these players that are coming for big money, Mikhailo Mudryk, he's big when he was 100 million plus signing. He's came in with huge potential, but he's been very, very raw. And he's one of the players that actually did not show signs at the European Championship. I thought at the European Championships he was woeful. I thought he was really, really bad playing for Ukraine, let down his country, in my opinion. He's a player, he's raw. He has a lot of raw ability. He's very, very vertical. He has good control. He plays with pace, but sometimes the end product escapes him, to say the least. Sometimes he's just running like a headless chicken and not really, playing in dangerous areas, not being lively in the right areas. Sometimes he's like, kind of wasting his energy with some of the runs he's making. But you see, he has quality. That goal that he scored, where he was able to, it was like a Messi-esque goal, the way he was able to slither his way through the defense past the keeper. I forgot who the opponent was, but he has quality. He just needs to develop that sort of consistency. Because let's be fair, like 100 million, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Him, Enzo, Moises Caicedo, Chelsea, they've put in a lot of money. They invested a lot of money into the team. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who the manager is, who this or that. The people, the investments need to pay off for Chelsea. These are, big money players with high potential, or that's at least how, Chelsea viewed them as. And let's be honest, Chelsea weren't the only clubs that were viewing these players as that. These were players that were wanted by the best clubs. So, they have to step it up. Those 3 players, they have to step it up. As far as Enzo Maresca, we know, he wants to play a sort of similar style of play as Pep Guardiola, the attacking, possession-oriented game, which is nice. It's good, it's a good talk, but at the end of the day, he's not Pep Guardiola. So there is a little bit of an unknown. He had that one season at Leicester, but he had the best squad in the championship, But he does have a very, very good squad here too. Don't get me wrong. He does have a very, very good squad here. You can't argue with that with Chelsea. They do have a very, very good squad. It's just, can they get it going all together? Realistic expectations, I'd say top 4, I guess. Top 4 is realistic expectations. Nothing above that, but I think there needs to be an improvement from this season. But at the same time, something that makes me hesitate in saying top 4 is the fact that, okay, if Pochettino, if he stayed on as manager of Chelsea, if he was the manager entering this next season, finishing 6th place last season, having the end that they had last season, my expectations will definitively be top 4, go and have a good season, have good momentum, and head into the Club World Cup that's actually coming up next summer that Chelsea will be in, head in there with some momentum, fresh off qualifying for the Champions League and fresh off having a good season. But now with Enzo Maresca coming in, it's kind of a recycle of expectations, because this is an element of unknown. This is a manager that's never managed in the Premier League, and it's just a wait and see, to be honest. It really is. It is a wait and see. But yeah, short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll talk about Real Madrid and whether or not they should be the favorites to win their 2nd Champions League in a row.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Before the break, we talked about some of the realistic expectations for Chelsea heading into this season. We move on to talk about Real Madrid and whether or not they're the clear favorites to win their second Champions League in a row, which is obviously, it's obviously a strong conversation. There's Real Madrid fans out there that really believe that this is their Champions League to win again now that Mbappe is coming in. But I don't think it's really as simple as it. First of all, I think Carlo Ancelotti finds himself in a rather more difficult place in terms of fitting Mbappe in there. I'm very, very interested. I'm not a manager. Maybe one day I will be. Who knows? Only God knows. But hopefully one day. But I'm not a manager. I'm a journalist. So, maybe I just don't have the footballing brain to comprehend this. But I really don't know how Carlo Ancelotti. I'm so excited to see how he fits Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo. These are primarily, Mbappe doesn't really like playing through the middle. Rodrigo can, but Mbappe, he functions best cutting in on his right foot on the left-hand side, which happens to be the only place Vinicius plays as well. And then Mbappe doesn't like playing through centrally as well. So how does Carlo Ancelotti makes it work? Now, something that could work out is, if Mbappe is willing to accept the role playing down the middle, is putting Mbappe as striker and putting Rodrigo on the right wing, be more of a direct sort of winger. Or you can play Mbappe on the left wing, play Rodrigo up top, and have Vinicius be just a complete direct winger, to where, he's playing on his right foot on the right side and just be a complete direct winger, trying to go at a goal and trying to get out a shot with his right foot, not really cutting in as much and, playing in terms of general play, just be completely direct. You could go that route, but I don't know. That's going to be very fascinating. We saw this year, there'll be times that Rodrigo and Vinicius will both be on the left-hand side, and it'll be like two of them there and nobody playing through the middle, and nobody on that right-hand side. And in terms of should not work, it looks completely unbalanced, but they were able to make it work. And Carlo Ancelotti, he's just a brilliant manager. He's able to get the best out of his, a set of players that he has. He's able to make a system and get the best out of the set of players that he has, and I think he will be able to do that. I think defensively, there's a little bit of a question mark there in the fact that Alaba, he's coming off of an injury. Militao, he came off missing the end of last season, but he played at the Summer Copa America. He should be fit. But, besides Militao and Rudiger, and then an injured Alaba coming back, no Nacho, I think they are a little bit thin at that center back position, because who knows if Alaba is able to be right back immediately to his best right away. Militao, he looked a little bit weak at this Copa America too. They are a little bit vulnerable at that center back position with Nacho being out. Very, very vulnerable. Nacho was a guy that gave them flexibility too, and he came in and he always did a subpar job. He was really the perfect player to have out the bench. He's a manager player. He is a manager's player in terms of, that's every manager's dream, having a guy like Nacho that they can rely on in key moments. He was that for Spain. You saw him coming off the bench in the European Championship final to see off the game. That's just what he is. And not having that, I think their center back depth is a question mark. That's why they were kind of in for Yoro, but United decided to pay double what Real Madrid were willing to offer, more than double, to be honest. And Yoro is going to be a United player instead. But yeah, it's their center back depth is an issue. Toni Kroos not being there. He was that conductor. Late games in the Champions League, in that semi-final, he had that assist to Vinicius playing in behind. him just being a conductor, him being able to control the tempo. Is there a player right now at Real Madrid that are ready to fit in that role? Can Camavinga and Tchouaméni play the role that Toni Kroos played and be that conductor and dictate the tempo the way Toni Kroos did? Luka Modric, he's not, he was a bit part player last season. Does he have a more of a bigger role for this season for Real Madrid with the Toni Kroos injury? And I think he can fit that Toni Kroos role. I think he has the quality to do that. But can he play 90 minutes, game in, game out, through the length of a season, through a Champions League run at this day and age? He'll definitely be a captain, but is he going to be a captain on the pitch, or is he just going to be like a leader in general? That's going to be fascinating to watch. But I think Real Madrid, all these questions that I'm asking, I think Carlo Ancelotti will handle them. Real Madrid are a team, they lose a legend, they lose a star, they replace him, and they keep winning. That's just what Real Madrid are. I saw some rumors also that that Trent Alexander-Arnold is a real candidate for Real Madrid. Wow. Number one, they have Dani Carvajal, who has played, brilliantly over the past few years or so. But Trent Alexander-Arnold just gives you a whole different level of quality going forward. And it's said to be, good sources say Real Madrid are seriously interested in signing Liverpool Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think he is an upgrade over Dani Carvajal. Just the quality that he has going forward. I think the holes that he has defensively will be covered in the way how Real Madrid defend as a team. Yeah, but why would Liverpool sell him? Does he want to leave his childhood club to go to Real Madrid? If I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold, I'm seriously thinking about it, because actually Gareth Southgate is not there anymore. So actually, I don't know. Because I was going to say, if Gareth Southgate was still the manager of England, I'd seriously consider this. And the fact that, you're playing for right back at Real Madrid, it's going to be seriously hard for Southgate to leave him out of that starting 11 for, these upcoming games and the next World Cup. But with a new manager coming in, if he has any sort of a footballing brain, he's gonna play Trent Alexander-Arnold. Just you can't have that sort of level of quality on the bench. So maybe this could elevate his career. He's won everything that he can win at Liverpool. He's won it all, and no Jurgen Klopp being there no more. There's kind of a misdirection for them. So maybe he'd be interested in Real Madrid, but that could be a player for Real Madrid that can really elevate them, take them over the top. Really, I think that would be a brilliant signing, and it'll be interesting to see, how does that, if he comes in and he, if he takes Carvajal's spot right away. Who knows? But regarding the players that are already at Real Madrid right now, yes, there's a little bit of holes there, but with Carlo Ancelotti and the way they play, I fully expect them to close the holes up. Now, are they the clear favorites to win the second Champions League in a row? Well, you got Manchester City. That's still going to be a big factor. And if Pep Guardiola does end up announcing, as I was discussing yesterday, if he ends up announcing that he will leave, I think that's a whole added initiative, a whole added motivation, and a whole springboard for Manchester City to go on a run in the Champions League. I think they are the biggest threat to Real Madrid, and I honestly, I don't see any other team besides one of those two winning the Champions League next season. I really don't. No PSG anymore. No chance for them. Barcelona, could they be a threat? Maybe Bayern with Vincent Kompany in his first season. No, I really think it's a weak Champions League, and I think it's either Real Madrid or Man City's to lose. So are they the clear favorites? No, not quite, but they have a very good chance, in my opinion, to win the second Champions League. because to have a Champions League winning team and to add Mbappe to it, I mean, like, that's just unbelievable. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to some of the updated FIFA rankings.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Before the break, we talked about Real Madrid being the clear favorites to win a second Champions League, whether or not they are clear favorites. We move on to discuss the updated FIFA rankings. Now, FIFA has a interesting way of developing FIFA has an interesting way of developing FIFA rankings. Extremely interested away in the fact that it's really a sort of like an analytical. It's the way that they do it is very analytical, and it's a very analytical way in terms of it's like a point system, and it's based on the teams you beat, and it's just weird. It's just weird, and whenever it's like weird analytics being involved, you get wrong answers. You get wrong rankings. Because let's be fair, these FIFA rankings I'm about to explain right now, it's a joke in my opinion. There's teams that are in there that don't belong in there. There are teams that should be in there that are not in there, and I think if you get some people that properly know the sport, know football, you get proper people that know football to sort of make a power ranking. I think you'll get a absolutely completely different list. But let's just read out the FIFA rankings real quick. I'm just gonna go with the top. Let's go top 15. Let's go top 20 actually. So Argentina is number 1. Oh wait, is this the right list? Yeah. Argentina is number 1. France is number 2. Spain is number 3. England is number 4. Brazil is number 5. Belgium is number 6. Netherlands is 7. Portugal is 8. Colombia is 9. Italy is 10. Uruguay is 11. Croatia is 12. Germany 13. Morocco 14. Switzerland 15. 16 is the US. 17 is Mexico. 18 is Japan. 19 is Senegal. 20 is Iran. Wow, US and MNT and Mexico are really dropping in their 16, 17. I do add a caveat with the US, MNT, and Mexico. These FIFA rankings happen to matter a lot more for these other teams than the US and Mexico, because they're going to enter that World Cup as pot 1 teams. FIFA rankings are important in terms of, the pots in the World Cup draw. And like if you're a pot 1 team, you have a great chance of getting out of the group because you're facing 3 teams that are, relatively perceived as weaker teams. And but the US, MNT, and Mexico, they go in as host nations as pot 1 teams. So Obviously, it doesn't matter to them as much in these rankings. There's been times in the past that teams kind of like, they've messed around with their rankings to make it easier for them. I know there was a stretch that Poland, they didn't have a friendly leading up to 2018 World Cup. There was a period up to the draw that they just didn't play any friendlies, and because they were already in like a pot 1 position, and they ended up being a pot 1 at that World Cup. They didn't end up getting out of that group stage, by the way. They got eliminated. I believe Colombia and Japan got out. I believe they finished last in that group, though. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah, they finished last in that group. But yeah, they were able to kind of rig the system. Not rig the system, but play with the system. You can't. There's less ways to do that here. I'll say this, with the way it is, and the fact that European teams have to play Nations League, it's it makes it trickier for them and all that. But at the end of the day, the FIFA rankings, they're just stupid in my opinion. This should not be the way teams are put in pots for the World Cup and all that. I don't agree with it at all. I don't know how Spain can beat France in the semifinal and be below them, and especially in the way that Spain at these European Championship, they were able to get past, in their run up to win the European Championship. They beat Croatia, Italy, Albania with their second team, by the way. They beat Albania with their second team. Georgia, Germany, the hosts, France. Then they beat England. That's an unbelievable 7-game stretch that they had to play. And they finished 7 of 7. They won every single game. They finished perfect. They didn't drop a single point. They won every single game. Every single game they won. And they didn't need penalties in any of the knockout stage games. The furthest that they won was extra time against the host, against the second best team that tournament. And they're below France. A France team that registered 1 goal the entire tournament from open play, that came from that was not an own goal. Are you serious? That a team that they head-to-head Spain, they beat France head-to-head, and they're not above them. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand France. I understand France being high because they're just relatively, reaching the last World Cup final, winning the World Cup before that, and just the success that this team has had under Deschamps, but to be above Spain, I don't agree with that at all. I think Argentina should be number 1 because they won the Copa America. They retained their Copa America title, and then they're also coming off a World Cup win before that. And Spain have now reached those levels of winning a World Cup. So obviously, I agree with Argentina being 1, but right below them should be Spain. Right below them being Spain, and then I'll agree with probably putting France number 3 just because of the relative success that they had pre this European Championship, and they reached the semifinal of this European Championship. And then it gets tricky. Brazil, poor Copa America, have been poor in World Cup qualifying. I think 5 is a little high for them. I think England being 4, I guess, they reached the final. You got to give a credit for that. And, when you're doing these rankings, they don't really count performances in there. But I don't know. I'd say this. Brazil and England, I'd choose, if Brazil and England play tomorrow, I'd choose Brazil anytime, any day. Anytime, any day, I'll choose Brazil. I'd always take Brazil over England. I mean, we had this game a few months ago. And this was Brazil team that was reeling, coming off a poor start to World Cup qualifying. And they beat England head-to-head at Wembley a few months ago. So I'll definitely take Brazil over England. And I want Brazil lower, so obviously England lower. Apart from Argentina, France, Spain, you're looking at the likes of potentially Colombia and Uruguay, honestly. After Argentina, France, Spain, I'd probably go Portugal. They were underwhelming too. No, Argentina, France, Spain, I'll go Germany 4. Germany were the second best team at this European Championship. They played some absolutely brilliant football, but their biggest mistake was scoring that goal against Switzerland. Fulker getting that last-minute equalizer against Switzerland, because I put them on the bracket with Spain in the quarterfinals, and they just ended up playing the best team in the tournament in the quarterfinals, because Germany, they were on the other side of the bracket. They were going to the final. No doubt about that. They were in that final. And then you're in that final against Spain at the Berlin Stadium, packed with German fans. Who knows? Maybe it could have been a different story, different day, different game. Because the way that game went, the Germany-Spain game in the quarterfinal, that's a game that's like, the way that game went, it's a game that you think goes 10 times, 5 will go to Spain, 5 will go to Germany. I think it's really that tight between them, and Germany could have easily been the European champions. So I'm going to put Germany in that place. Then you look at in number 4. Then you're looking at the likes of Colombia and Uruguay, who both had brilliant Copa America campaigns. Uruguay, they couldn't get past 10 men, but I think what they've done in World Cup qualifiers, they've been really solid. They beat Argentina. They beat the number 1 team in here, and I think they're going to continue to improve under Marcelo Bielsa. But this is power ranking, so I can't really say continue to improve. That's not. But yeah, and then you're looking at the likes of the England, the Brazil. I'll probably put Switzerland up there too, just because of how good that they've been. Then you're looking at the likes of the Netherlands, the Portugal, and all that. Maybe even swinging a Morocco. Yeah, Italy being number 10, I don't understand that. I think Italy were woeful at this European Championship, and they've been woeful for a pretty long time now since they won that last European Championship. So they're above Uruguay. For me, that's crazy. Uruguay being down 11 is unbelievable to me. Croatia's at number 12. Yeah, that sounds about right, because they didn't make the semifinals just shortly ago. And yes, this European Championship was poor, but you can't drop them all the way out of the list. But yeah, I don't mess with the analytical way of making FIFA rankings. I think there should be better of just having a group of people that come in and rank the teams based on the eye test. Sometimes the eye test, no, not sometimes, all the time, the eye test is just more accurate than just numbers. Numbers are just, numbers, analytics is cool and all that, but just watch the games. We can tell what teams are better by watching the games. Like England reached the Copa America final. Yes. England reached the European Cup final, and Brazil got eliminated in the group stage. But in a head-to-head, are you really taking England over? Not the group stage, the quarterfinals. But in a head-to-head, are you really taking England over Brazil? I don't think so. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll talk about the Ballon d'Or.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Before the break, we discussed the updated FIFA rankings. We move on to react to the Ballon d'Or. Who's going to win the Ballon d'Or? Very, very interesting conversations there. I think there's a huge clamor for Rodri to win the Ballon d'Or, just based on winning the Champions League this season with, not the Champions League, the Premier League this season for Manchester City, and then topping it off and winning the European Championship for Spain. That really, really springboarded him to the top of these discussions. Looking at odds right now for Ballon d'Or, I can't say where I'm getting these odds from because they're not coming from GSMC. But yeah, it's looking like Vinicius Jr. is still at the top of winning it, despite Despite Rodri winning the European Championship, according to this, Vinicius Jr. is still at the top. Rodri is second. Bellingham is third. Carvajal is fourth. And then Lamine Yamal is tied with Messi at fifth. Now the Messi thing is just lifetime achievement award. Let's just be honest. But yeah, Yamal there at fifth. Look, Dani Carvajal, he's had a very, very good season. Won a Champions League, won a European Championship, was pivotal in both teams as a right back. But he's a right back. And no matter how great or how impressive his performance have been, he's not going to win it. Bellingham, I'm struggling with why he is a top candidate. It's really a top candidate only because he won the Champions League. That's about it. Because if you look at the level of performances, at the European Championship, he wasn't that good enough. Throughout the entirety of the European Championship, he had one individual moment of magic that saved England in the tournament. Yes, I fully accept that reality that he saved England. But apart from that moment, he didn't do anything at the European Championship. He didn't do anything, and some of his attitude was really bad, especially going to the floor, whining, whinging over calls, not really getting involved in play right after, and kind of being a detriment to his team. And we saw some of the things coming out of the camp regarding, the other players' perspective of Jude Bellingham, which we're not going to get heavy into, but it just showed, I think since, he had a very, very good start to the season where he just couldn't stop scoring goals, right? But then there was a time that the goals just stopped coming, and it was a little bit of a drop-off for Jude Bellingham. And I think that was a drop-off in his performance as well. And yeah, I don't think he's at the level as what some people see him be. He's very, very good. He's a high-quality player, and he's a high-quality player, especially for an Englishman. You don't see them develop those sort of players. He's very, very, very talented. But there is other, young players I will prefer over him, like the likes of a Jamal Musiala. I'll take over him. And I thought he had a brilliant Euros and showed up for his country in ways that Jude Bellingham didn't. Obviously, the style of play, the way Germany played at this European Championship compared to the dreadful play that we played at England played, it could be the difference as well. But Bellingham scores goals, and he scored a lot of goals for Real Madrid, especially earlier on in the season. So that'll put him up there because people love goals, and he does have amazing public support because everyone seems to love Jude Bellingham. But let's be fair, he's nowhere near, in terms of Ballon d'Or, he should be nowhere near the likes of Vinicius and Rodri. I think it's really between those two. Because look, Vinicius, later on the late stages of that run in the Champions League, Vinicius was the guy that Real Madrid were going into. That Vinicius was the one that single-handedly had to carry Real Madrid, especially in that second leg against Bayern Munich. It was like, Real Madrid, that entire second half, they just got the ball to the left-hand side and let Vinicius do the work. It was Vinicius just completely taking on the load of the team, because that's the quality that Vinicius has. He was involved with with both goals he scored both goals in the first leg. In the second leg, he took on the shot that led to the missed blundered save from Manuel Neuer that led to the equalizing goal. He's just always involved for Real Madrid in those late game runs, in those late game Champions League stretches, the run to the finals. He's involved. He had a brilliant campaign again against Manchester City. Just the pace he has and his ability in transition, that really made Manchester City suffer for a very, very long time. Not just this past season. He's a brilliant player, Vinicius, playing for Real Madrid. But he wasn't able to accomplish that for Brazil. The opening game, he was his same dreadful self that he is for Brazil, because he plays totally different for Brazil compared to the likes that he does for Real Madrid. But Vinicius for Brazil was able to have that second game, that positive game against Paraguay. against Uruguay. He doesn't really get much of a kick in the game, and he ends up suffering a yellow card, a second yellow that gets him suspended for that game. And the rest is history. They went on to lose that game in penalties, and Vinicius didn't have a chance to right his wrong of getting suspended in that game for that second yellow, and yeah, he wasn't able to accomplish it on the international scene. Well, Rodri was, and I'd say the brilliant part about Rodri is, and I say this all the time, but this is Rodri's real first opportunity to be that conductor, to be that number 6, that regista for Spain. He's always had to play either next to Busquets or even play center back. He had to play center backs at a past international tournament because he has huge quality, and Luis Enrique still wanted to get him into the team, but not in his position because Sergio Busquets was there. But now Busquets, he's off to Miami, so he's essentially retired from international football. It opened up that pathway for Rodrigo to play in that midfield, and it's just he makes everything look just so easy, being the dictator of tempo. He's moved the ball side to side. As soon as he receives the ball, no sense of panic, and has a sense of knowing what he's going to try to do. He has an idea of what he's going to do even before he receives the ball. He can pick out any pass he sees on the field. Something underrated about him is he has a great sense of defending. He's very, very good at protecting the back line. Very, very, very impressive defender. And he's not one of those sort of sixes that you can just get the striker to drop off and and that will mark him, because he's comfortable receiving the ball from different areas in the midfield. He has that sort of level of quality, and also too, he also has that capacity to make a late run and get a goal. He scored a goal in the Champions League final to win it for them in Manchester City. He also scored that goal against Georgia, in my opinion, an underrated goal, a huge goal for Spain, because they go down early. In previous Spain teams in the past, going down, they suffer in being able to break down the defense. But his ability to strike a ball from outside the box just gives the Spanish team a new element, and he was able to score a crucial goal. The balls he was able to deliver in behind, the way he moved the ball side to side and really, had the defense on the back foot. He's a brilliant player, and everything that he did for Spain, he also does for Manchester City. And they talk about him in glowing terms. Pep Guardiola talks about him in glowing terms. You see the record that they have when Rodri is playing. Rodri, I believe, this season, not just for Manchester City, but also for Spain, he lost 2 games. 2 games all season in all the games that he played, not just for Spain but also for Manchester City. He lost the FA Cup final against United, and then I forgot what was the other one, but he only lost 2 games all season. And then he was the pivotal part of those teams as well. That smells like Ballon d'Or to me. But the thing that will weigh him down in terms of this discussion is he doesn't play that sexy position. Number 6, that sort of holding midfield role, that regista role, is not a role that kids go to sleep dreaming that they're gonna play. It's not really that kind of role. There's no it's not like a striker or a dynamic winger on that. It's it's a conductor, and sometimes to the naked eye, to a fan, it's hard to see the quality of what a conductor can do. Now, I'm not saying the people that vote on Ballon d'Or are like that, but I think it definitely plays a factor in the fact that he doesn't really play that sexy position. I think that will weigh him down. But for me, he should be the clear front runner for the Ballon d'Or. But just based on these odds, I think Vinicius is going to win it, because in terms of general play, and not just that, but the fact that Rodri is looked at more. Rodri is more of a composer, and he's not really that sexy position, while Vinicius is. I think that will get it done. I really do. Short break here coming up. When we come back, we'll react to some of the top headlines going on the soccer world. we react to some of the top headlines going on in the soccer world. We talked about this yesterday, but it's official. City signed Euro $62 million deal from Lille. Manchester City, they have completed a deal for 20-year-old Brazilian winger Savio. It's going to be a 5-year contract for him. Sources say that City paid initially 25 million, but there's a potential for a 15 million euros. This is all euros in add-ons. Savio will be joining Manchester City from Troyes, the French club Troyes, after having loan spells at PSV Eindhoven and Girona. Girona actually happens to be part of City's football operations, the same ownership group. Savio, when speaking about this move, said, "I'm so happy to be joining Manchester City, the Premier League champions and Club World Cup winners. Everyone knows they are the best team in the world right now, so to be here is very exciting for me. I'm excited about the chance to work under Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest coaches ever, and someone I know will improve me even more. I had an amazing time in Spain, and I'm looking forward to a new challenge of playing in the Premier League alongside some of the best players in the world. I can't wait to meet the fans and my new teammates and hopefully be a part of bringing more success to City." Savio has scored 11 goals in 41 games for Girona last season, as they were able to qualify for the Champions League for the first time ever. He also was part of the Brazil squad at this year's Copa America, and he actually scored a goal while playing. He played in each of the 4 games until they were actually knocked out by Uruguay, and he scored a goal in one of those games. So, if he's playing for the Brazil national team at age 20, shows that this is a dude with real potential, real quality. So I think Manchester City probably got themselves another good one. Israel, they will be able to compete at this Summer Olympic Games after qualifying. There was a little bit of a window where we were thinking, there was a little bit of a window thinking, can Israel get knocked out because of the Palestinian proposal to suspend Israel from international soccer because of the ongoing war, and but FIFA have postponed that decision, which clears the way for Israel to play at this summer's Olympic Games. The world, FIFA's world governing body was gonna be set to make a decision Saturday during their council meeting, but after asking for an independent legal assessment of the proposal 2 months ago, the decision came that just 4 days before the Olympic soccer tournament begins, where Israel is going to be drawn into a group with Japan, Mali, and Paraguay, that they will be proposing this. FIFA also said Thursday that it has pushed back the timeline because more time is needed to conclude the process with due care and completeness, and then which means the decision will come after the Olympics have finished. FIFA said both parties have made requests to extend to submit their respective positions, and that the independent assessment will be shared with FIFA by the latest August 31st. So Israel will be competing in the Olympics, and as they said, they will be competing in the group with Japan, Mali, and Uruguay. Speaking of Israel competing in that same Olympics, their goalkeeper, Bayern Munich goalkeeper, Daniel Peretz, who was gonna be one of the overage players for Israel. He won't be available after suffering a muscle tendon injury in his thigh. Bayern Munich have confirmed this, and he'll be out for several weeks. And He joined Bayern last season from Maccabi Tel Aviv, and he was one of the overage players for Israel alongside Sean Goldberg and Omri Gendelman, and he's not gonna be available, and Israel are gonna have to replace him in terms of overage players at these summer's Olympic Games. And it's going to be interesting to see if they can get out of the group with Japan, Paraguay, and Mali. It's an interesting group there. So that's going to be rather fascinating to watch. Okay. MLS, they have implemented new roster rules with the World Cup coming up in 2 years. There's going to be several changes to some of the roster rules that will allow these MLS teams to have more flexibility in terms of how the roster is constructed. They're going to relax the restrictions on the combined number of designated and U22 players or signings. Teams previously, they had 3 overage designated players, could only have 1 U22 signing. Teams with 2 overage designated players could have as many as 3 U22 signings. Now teams can choose one of 2 paths. The first one allows them to sign 3 designated players and 3 U22 players. The other option is to have 2 designated players and 4 U22 signings, plus also an additional $2 million in GAM, which is general allocation money. Teams have to select which direction that they're going to take this year by the end of the summer transfer window, which is August 4th, and then in subsequent years, the direction must be chosen by teams at the beginning of every season, and you can't really change it in the middle of the campaign. With MLS executive Todd Durbin talking about this, said the new roster rules open the door for clubs to sign additional world-class players and more emerging stars, while also providing a great deal of flexibility to invest across the roster. We have a unique opportunity with the World Cup coming in 2 years. These modifications, along with others being discussed for potential implementation in 2025 and beyond, will elevate our league and increase fan engagement around the world. That's good. I've always, never understood this designated player thing. It just makes MLS just more confusing than what it already is, and I think it's good that they're allowing it to be more flexible. We talked about this yesterday, but it's official. Marseille, they completed the signing of United's Mason Greenwood. He will be a Marseille striker. He has kind of have a chance to continue to try to bring back his career to what it once was pre that horrible incident that we all know about. So it was a good opportunity for him to take advantage of the second chance that the footballing world is offering him. For Rabiot, he is leaving Juventus after 5 years. He is leaving Juventus as a free agent. Aubameyang is joining Saudi Arabian club Al Qadsiya. Dusan Tadic announced his international retirement after a frustrating European Championship in the European Championship, where he spent a lot of time on the bench, despite being really the talisman for Serbia for a very, very long time. Frustrating end to a marvelous international career for a marvelous player, huge quality, and he's been part of Serbia for what now? That's 2008, so 16 years, going back to him being a 19-year-old. So it's a great end, or it's a sad end, but he was dominant. 111 caps, 23 goals. Strasbourg part ways with Vieira after one season, and there's talks of Vieira potentially taking over the role as the USMNT manager. There was reports saying Matt Crocker is looking at some high-profile candidates in Europe, and that's his main priority. Well, that'll be interesting. I don't know if that's really something that I'm looking like, that I say, wow, what a signing, but you know, it does have me thinking. I think it's better than what we've had to suffer with the last couple of seasons. But yeah, that's the end of the show, guys. So thank you for tuning into the GSMC Soccer Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. It really does. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Thank you once again, and have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like